Well, and that having that profound experience, I like the way you call it, an act of grace and an opening into God or into Spirit. You know, that we hear about those things. We hear about people having those experiences, and you've done a really good job of helping us step into that and feeling what that would be like. Now, a lot of times when we hear about this, it is very much connected to the specific religion that the people are somehow involved in. And from reading what I've read about you and some of your philosophy, it doesn't appear that that's what you are talking about.
That's very true, Cheryl. That's thank you for saying that. That's a wonderful observation, and it's very much in line with my beliefs and my experiences. You know, I think religion, and I think we get this upside down, and I'm writing a new book about this. Religion is simply a repository, a vehicle for carrying those type of revelations that people want to communicate to the rest of us. That spiritually enlightened, gifted people who have acts of grace, which is God's unwarranted, spontaneous revelation, feel compelled to share it. Because if it just happens for you and you just keep it for yourself, it's like a car that you never drive, right? So I knew at the moment that I'm not that special. I knew that I was given this glimpse so I could share it with other people. And you feel compelled to do it. You feel absolutely compelled to do it. And religions are simply repositories for these kind of visions. And I think they're all wonderful, and I think they're all flawed, and I think they're all human. They're all human inventions. God didn't invent any of the religions. We did.
Right.
And I think we get it upside down. We tend to worship our religions, and we tend to get the idea of faith and belief in religion, I think, totally upside down. So my understanding of how this works, at least for me, is that you begin with faith, and faith says, what's my orientation towards the world? How do I understand what's happening around me? And you create a faith principle. And a faith principle can be a very negative one. You could say people are inherently bad and they're going to take advantage of you if you turn your back for one moment. That's a faith principle. Or you could say the world is purposeful, the world is connected, the world has meaning, as does my life. And that's what I believe, and that's a faith principle. So from there, belief springs. So I say, well, if that's my faith principle, and there is this God, which is a kind of a consciousness, the flow of consciousness that animates physicality, then I believe that we have connection to that. Mm-hmm. And that connection comes in the forms of some kind of revelation. And those revelations are deposited into a religious pot, so to speak. And if the religious pot doesn't match your belief and your faith, the religion has to change.
Right.
Not your faith. You don't. But when you start with religion and you say, gee, religion tells me this is so, therefore I believe that, and therefore my faith is this, you become very locked and very fundamental. And I think very separated from people who have different religions. And I think that's very destructive inherently.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said, Alan. It makes me think about how people use religion as an excuse to not take responsibility for choices. And I want to talk more about that when we come back after this break.